We are live. All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Lights On After School 2020 event. We are excited to have you all here and joining us in this virtual platform. We are sad we can't be with you in person, but excited to see so many of you here and joining us today. So we are happy to co-host this event. My name is Heather Williams. I'm with the California AfterSchool Network, and I'm going to turn it over to Michael Funk from the California Department of Education. Michael?
Hey, thanks, Heather. Happy Lights On After School, rising to the moment. We just finished our inspiring statewide Expanded Learning Summit last week, which I trust many of you were able to participate in. The theme was Together We Rise and rising to the moment. Lights On After School has been a special day that we've celebrated for decades and sponsored by the Afterschool Alliance in Washington, D.C. It's a day where programs all across the country have traditionally hosted an event and brought in families and parents and community members. I remember so many times at the Sunset Neighborhood Beacon Center in San Francisco, we would have a neighborhood parade with hundreds of kids from different programs, and we would host elected officials and neighborhood leaders for a policy briefing, and it was just a special day. Well, in the last several years, we've done something in Sacramento, and we've gone to the lobby here, 3 floors below me at the California Department of Education, and invited our statewide awardees to come with their entourage, and we would have youth entertainment and last year a marching band inside the building, and just so many wonderful things. And well, it feels different this year because, like everything this year feels different, we are virtual. And I just want to say that it's even with virtual today, there are thousands of programs who are taking the moment to elevate the importance of expanded learning, or as we call it in California, or after school, as it's referred to in most of the country, not as a nice thing for kids, but as an essential part of the educational system, an essential part of our communities, and an essential support for young people to be all they can be and for families to thrive. So welcome to Lights On After School virtually. And I'm thrilled to be able to introduce you to Sarah Novell Morgan, who was the Deputy Superintendent at the California Department of Education of the Opportunities for All branch. Don't you love that name? The Opportunities for All branch. Before that, Sarah was one of my colleagues here as a division director of the Early Learning and Care Division. Before that, she was with First 5 California. She is an advocate. She is passionate. She's a wonderful boss. She has partnered with me all through, and my team all through the last several months in making sure that we were able to provide programs the flexibility they needed to meet the needs of children during COVID and beyond. And I told her on Boss's Day, not only are you a great boss, you're a great human. So with that, I want to introduce Sarah Novell Morgan to welcome you and bring some comments for the Department of Education. Sarah?
Thanks so much, Michael. Your leadership always inspires me. So I think I do better because I look and partner with you, and that helps move me forward. Before I dive into any of this, first and foremost, the State Superintendent of Public Instruction and I want to thank each and every one of you for everything you do. In addition to the ongoing work that each of you do every day, we know that the pandemic and the fires have created a challenging work situation. We want to recognize that this year is unprecedented. Our children, our families, our schools, and our programs are experiencing a year like never before. You've made a difference for hundreds of thousands of students across the state in a year that might be one of the most difficult we've ever faced. Our students and families, our programs and schools, already dealing with the stress caused by pandemic, are now dealing with the 1-2 punch of wildfires economic hardships and job losses, homelessness, food insecurity, and other issues. As the SSPI says, our heart is with all of you. None of us ever anticipated this is what 2020 would look like, but we all continue to be inspired by how our first responders and our programs, like those of Expanded Learning, have risen to the challenges. It is each of you who has navigated these uncertain times by reaching out to children and families any way you can, using your heart and your compassion as your compass to continue to support children and families across California. We know that you're all doing the very best you can in these most dire of situations. We also acknowledge that the trauma across California only deepens previous trauma that a lot of our children and families had already experienced, and that trauma affects them for a lifetime. The emotional strains caused by the pandemic and fires, combined with escalating issues of racial injustice and persistent inequities, are having a cumulative impact on the well-being of our students, families, and their communities. All this elevates the importance of our after-school expanded learning work even more, since high-quality enrichment programs can uniquely address the challenges that students with trauma face. At the CDE, we believe quality education is a tool we can use to create a path to a fairer, more just society. By digging deeper into the complexities of our diverse and difficult histories, not denying or ignoring them, we believe quality education can provide the pathway to healing, understanding, and racial and social justice. With all of that, it makes today and our recognition of your work and your leadership even more important. On behalf of the State Superintendent, Tony Thurmond, I would like to thank the 6 after-school leaders being recognized here today and the tens and thousands of after-school staff across our state. California has the largest expanded learning system in the nation, and thanks to all of your incredible work, it is also the most effective. We know that you are the key to the magic of these programs. As I shared earlier, this year, your expertise, dedication, and care were needed more than ever. And we always know that relationships and interactions are the core to every component of quality. With COVID-19 closures, California's expanded learning programs quickly pivoted to support students, families, and schools in innovative ways. There are some really incredible examples of love that expanded learning has been a part of during this pandemic. From food and technology delivery and family wellness checks, one-on-one tutoring and social emotional support through Zoom, and supporting and supervising children of essential workers as they access distance learning and enrichment programs. Expanded learning programs and their staff have been a lifeline for many of our California students and families. Let's not forget the fun and joy you've been able to still provide virtually during these challenging times. Yoga and dance classes, art lessons, cooking classes, science experiments, and sing-along. I feel like I need to join some of these. As Superintendent Thurmond and his team set a path toward recovery and building back a stronger and more equitable education system for California students, expanded learning programs are key partners in mitigating learning loss and moving us into learning recovery, supporting the whole child, and ensuring equitable educational opportunities. Today, as we celebrate you and your work this year, let's continue to work together to ensure the lights stay on for our critical after-school and summer learning programs and the students, families, and communities they serve. Also today, I would like to congratulate and acknowledge the 6 being honored here for their exceptional leadership. The Visionary Leadership Awards are going to Aaron Snipes of Elk Grove Unified and Atrilla Gillis of Isana Academies, both of whom are recognized for their vision, dedication, and influence that have made a significant contribution to the expanded learning field. The Inspirational Leadership Awards are going to 2 individuals, Shannon Roth of the Sacramento Chinese Community Services Center and Oscar Munguia of Give Every Child a Chance. Their leadership has inspired continuous quality and innovation in their programs. And finally, the Emerging Leadership Awards are going to Crystal Miller of Porterville Unified and Brazil McIntyre of Berkeley Unified. Both of these leaders have shown their leadership in their dedication to the children and youth they serve. Congratulations to you all. As I close my part of today, a reminder that we all need to be kind to ourselves and be mindful of our need to take care of ourselves so we can best help others. Stay safe and healthy. We need you all as a collective part of our system that supports students and families, educators, and our expanded learning programs. And thank you so much for having me be part of your celebration today. And a final thanks to Michael and the CDE Expanded Learning team for their leadership and partnership with all of you in this critical area of education. It truly does take a village. Thanks. Back to you, Michael.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you for those, what I know to be truly heartfelt and deeply held beliefs and comments. And thank you for your leadership and inspiration. Heather, we'll take it to you.
Thank you, Michael. And yes, thank you, Sarah. We are so appreciative of you joining us today and your leadership at CDE. So with that, we would love to kick off the leadership award portion of today's event. And so we are going to start with our emerging leadership awards, and I'm going to invite Virginia and Crystal to join us.
Thanks, Heather. I'm very excited to be here, very proud to present Crystal to you today. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about Crystal. She is the Youth Experiencing Success Expanded Learning Personnel Liaison for Porterville Unified School District, located in Region 7. Crystal started her career in the after-school program when she was a junior in high school at the age of 16. She was a tutor for the 6th grade students at Olive Street Elementary School. And at the age of 19, she was offered a site coordinator position. She denied that position 3 times, or the offer 3 times, as she did not see the leadership qualities that others saw in her. But she reluctantly accepted the 4th offer and quickly fell in love with her leadership role as the site coordinator, and also loved having an impact on program design and building meaningful relationships with students and staff. Crystal graduated from Brandman University in 2011 with a bachelor's degree in social science and minored in organizational leadership. While attending school and working for her local after-school program, she earned the Inspirational Educator Award from Congressman McCarthy. At age 30, she was selected as the new program assistant to the program director in the Porterville School District. 2 years later, she was promoted to program director. And with the direction of the district administrators, it was decided to expand the program in order to serve more students in the community, to help working parents, and really to provide a safe environment for students. Crystal is very proud that she'll be celebrating her 20th year this month, serving in expanded learning. She's thankful to her amazing team that goes above and beyond consistently. And she also thanks her amazing region lead, Virginia Cepeda, for her guidance and support, and for also nominating her to be a recipient of the 2020 Lights on After School Emerging Leadership Award. Crystal, we are proud of you, and we're so excited to celebrate you. Region 7 is all behind you, and we thank you for all the hard work that you do. So congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Virginia.
And so with that, I will turn it over to Troy.
Thank you, Virginia. Really appreciate that. My name is Troy Selvey. I am the program coordinator or program specialist for California AfterSchool Network, and I have the honor of introducing Brazil McIntyre. Brazil has worked with Berkeley Unified School District for Berkeley Learns Expanded Learning Program since 2008. She became a program specialist in 2012. Brazil has played an integral role in creating opportunities for equity and inclusion, youth voice, and leadership, along with STEAM programs, and continues to commit to advocating for students and families in her community. Brazil also is a volunteer for the Site Coordinator Network as an action team and leadership team member, which supports site coordinators throughout the state. And again, I can't express how much I appreciate the opportunity to work with Brazil, and just want to take the opportunity to congratulate her and wish her the best as she continues to move the work forward.
Thank you so much, Troy.
Congratulations, Brazil.
Thank you.
And I will be passing it to Shannon.
Hi, I'm Kimmy Toya from the California Department of Education in the Expanded Learning Division, and I wanted to introduce you to the Youth Development Director, Shannon Roth. Shannon Roth is a catalyst for change focused on building resilience and equity in the Sacramento region for the past 15 years. She has proudly served the Sacramento Chinese Community Service Center, also known as the Center, since 2005 and has pioneered the 21st Century High School After-School Safety and Enrichment for Teens program, also known as ASSETS, and the Summer Learning Movements in Sacramento. In 2009, Shannon was called to lead the youth development team and build agency bandwidth and expanded learning as a director. In the last 11 years, she has driven the center's mission by focusing on capacity building for the next levels of leaders. Her big picture, systems thinking mindset has created exponential growth for the center. She successfully assembled partnerships and leveraged funders and to enable expansion in literacy, social, emotional learning, and STEM. Shannon holds a Master's of Arts in Leadership and Social Justice from St. Mary's College and a Bachelor of Arts in Communication Studies from CSUS Sacramento. I want to congratulate you, Shannon, on your Inspirational Leadership Award. Thank you. And on to Kelly. Take it away.
Good morning. My name is Kelly Faustino, and I am with the Expanded Learning Division of the California Department of Education. I have the distinct honor of introducing our next Inspirational Leadership Awardee, Mr. Oscar Munguia. Oscar has been part of the after-school program community since 2005. After returning from a tour in Iraq, he wanted a change of pace before returning to his studies in criminal justice. His girlfriend, now wife, introduced him to the Give Every Child a Chance program, where he began working as a tutor and mentor. Oscar found this work to be incredibly rewarding, and it was at that time that he knew that this was the change he was looking for. 15 years later, Oscar is now the program director of after-school programs at Give Every Child a Chance, where he oversees the operation of 12 program sites in South San Joaquin County. His programs provide services to thousands of students each year. Oscar takes immense pride in mentoring his employees and providing them with the training and support they need to forward that same energy to the students who participate in the programs. The partnerships and relationships he has built with local school districts and communities have helped his program succeed in our ever-changing society. In addition to this work with GCAC, Oscar serves as the coordinator for the Northgate Little League Challenger Division. He is a member of the Manteca Unified Parent Advisory Committee, the Lathrop High School School Site Council, and American Legion Post number 249. When he is not at work, he enjoys spending quality time with his family, reading and watching sports. We would like to congratulate Oscar. Region 6 is so incredibly proud to have you as one of our leaders. And I will hand it over to Mark.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. My name is Mark Drews with the Sacramento County Office of Ed, Region 3 Expanded Learning Team. And I have the pleasure of introducing Aaron Sipes. Aaron Sipes currently serves as a district administrator and grant manager in Elk Grove Unified School District's Office of Expanded Learning. In 23 ACEs, 21st Century and Assets programs, that's over 4,200 youth daily. During her 20 plus years as an educator, she has worked as a site administrator, a curriculum specialist, a classroom teacher, and an inclusive education specialist. Ms. Sipes holds credentials in administrative leadership, multiple subject education specialist, and a master's degree in special education with an emphasis on early literacy. In addition to her work in Elk Grove, she has been contracted with the Sacramento County Office of Ed as a facilitator of professional learning and a coach for new administrators since 2005. Aaron currently serves as a member of the California Department of Education's Expanded Learning Division, Sustainability Committee, and as a member of California AfterSchool Network's Whole Child and Wellness Collaborative. And once again, Erin, thank you for all that you do and adding to my capacity as well as the state's capacity in expanded learning. And so congratulations. And with that, I hand it over to Michelle.
Thank you, Mark. Hello, everyone. I'm Michelle Perrineau, County Lead for Expanded Learning Technical Assistance at the Los Angeles County Office of Education. It's my honor to introduce to you Atrilla Gillis. Atrilla Sheba Gillis is a lifelong Long Beach resident whose family legacy of Long Beach community service dates back to the 1950s and includes her mother, Sharon McLucas, and late community activist grandmother, Atrilla W. Scott. Sheba has collected degrees, certificates, and academic accolades at CSU Long Beach, University of Phoenix, UCLA, and CSU Dominguez. Before pursuing a career as an educator, she spent years as an advertising executive at the Los Angeles Times and Press Telegram newspapers. As an educator, Sheba has been a middle school history teacher, curriculum specialist, vice principal, and principal. While teaching 8th grade history in Los Angeles, her classroom was selected for a feature in the Dream Project documentary, a project centered on eradicating the United Nations Millennium Development Goals. Her participation in the documentary led to travels in Honduras, where she met with President and First Lady, and to Paris, France, where she participated in a global summit at the United Nations headquarters. Her appointment as the founding principal of Celerity Sirius Charter School in Compton made her the first African-American principal with the Celerity Educational Group network of schools. In 2013, she became the first African-American district director with her appointment as director of after-school programs for Celerity Educational Group schools in California, Ohio, Louisiana, and Florida, servicing over 2,000 students. On the state level, she has participated in numerous CDE Expanded Learning Steering Committees. And been featured in numerous training videos disseminated throughout the state, and most recently appointed to the California Department of Education Expanded Learning Policy Committee. Please help me to congratulate Atrilla Sheba Gillis for receiving a Visionary Leadership Award, and to congratulate all of the award recipients today. We're really proud of you, Sheba. Thank you so much. Region 11 loves you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Michelle. And at this time, I would love to invite all of our recipients and all of our presenters to join us on camera. And while folks are logging on, you might have seen that Atrilla's birthday is today. And so she is delaying her lunch celebration by a little bit to join us. So happy birthday, Atrilla, and we're really glad that you are joining us today.
Thank you.
All right, and if we can get, I think we're waiting on a few more people, but if we can get everybody who has an award, who is on camera, please hold that up, and everybody take yourselves off mute. We would love to give you all a huge round of applause and congratulations, and thanks for all of your amazing leadership. Congratulations, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
I can hear it outside. I can hear the cheer.
I can definitely see it on the chat. I'm watching the chat over here, and I'm seeing lots of love to all of you for your leadership and your hard work in this field. So lots and lots of appreciation to all of you. And I know Priscilla is working on joining us back on camera, and lots of love to her as well. So congratulations, everyone. One more round of applause for everybody. Great. Thank you all so much. And with that, we are concluding our awards portion of today's event. But what we are going to be transitioning to is actually our first ever Fireside Live. So Michael and I have really had a lot of fun working on Fireside Chats over the last 6 or 7 months with all of you. And we know there's been a lot of requests for some of those to be live. And so we took that feedback to heart And today is our first Fireside Live, and so we are excited to kick off to the first ever Fireside Live. And so with that, our Fireside Live guests are actually going to be our leadership awardees. So you didn't get to hear from them yet because we're going to spend probably the next hour chatting with them and learning great lessons from them because they are leaders across the state. So with that, Michael, I'm going to turn it over to you. Oh, and we've got Priscilla back on. So now we've got all our awardees here.
Well, congratulations. I wish it was Aaron Sipes who actually brought the marching band last year to march through CDE, and we had people coming down from the 6th floor. What's going on? What's happening? Well, there's a virtual marching band somewhere playing their hearts out for each of you. It's just such an honor to host this conversation but before we start into Heather's going to kick off with the first question, and we're going to really talk to each other, try to in this conversation, but I just have to share a couple interesting stories before we do. You know, these people were nominated and then voted upon by the people in the system of support, nominated from the system of support for expanded learning, selected. And I said, you know, as typical, I said, I'd like to call each one individually and just, you know, congratulate them. I don't want them to hear about this prestigious affirmation of their life's work or this life's work thus far from an email. And so I got all the phone numbers and I started making phone calls. So Crystal got her voicemail, but it wasn't her voice. It was just one of those numbers. So I wasn't, okay, now you've all been like, do I leave a message here? Is this really, do I have the right number? Is this really Crystal? So I decided, okay, I'm just going to send her an email and ask her to call me. So in the subject line, I said something like, this is Michael Funk. I have some good news. And then in the body of the email, I said something like, this is not spam. This is really me. Please call me. Crickets, nothing. So finally, Virginia, I reached out to Virginia, said, Virginia, she's not calling me back. Do you know if she's in town or what's going on? Is she okay? Lo and behold, I saw her number pop up on my phone. And she said something like, I got your voicemail. I just assumed it was spam. Then I got your email and it was exactly what spam would say. So Michael Funk's not going to be calling me. So that was the first one. Then I got Oscar on the phone and he wouldn't believe me. I spent the first 3 minutes. He said, you don't mean me, you mean my organization. I said, no, you. He said, you don't mean me, you mean my boss. It's got to be for my boss. It can't be me. No, it's you, Oscar, it's you. And so I read the language from the nomination paragraph that was submitted, and he finally obviously believed me because he's here. So I got a hold of Atrilla, and we've known each other for a long time. But I called once, you know, and then of course I'm starting to realize I just don't answer my phone if like the name doesn't pop up. If a number pops up, I typically don't even answer my phone unless I know I've called somebody and, oh, that might be the person I just called and left a message for. But so I get it. But I called Atrilla and she didn't pick up. And I thought, she saw a 415 number and she's saying this is some political ad or this is some spam. So she's not going to pick up. So I said, I'm just going to call her again. So I called her again. She picks up and it's Michael Funk. Oh, I thought it was spam. So, you know, we're chuckling, laughing, talking about this. And her daughter is in the car with her. And she goes, hi, spam. And then, of course, I got, Aaron, you don't have a very good story because you just answered the call and just said, cool, let's do this. And Shannon actually picked up the phone from Yellowstone National Park, where she was on vacation with her husband. And we had a nice chat from Jellystone back in the Yogi Bear days. And then one of my favorites was Brazil, who actually did pick up the phone. And I said, is this Brazil? And she said, who's asking? And I said, it's Michael Funk. And there's just like this pause on the other end. She said, it's Michael Funk? I said, yeah, it's me. And she said, then we started laughing about it. And she said, well, after you said Michael Funk, then I thought it was going to be a recording, like some robo dial. Anyway, I have to say that my favorite part of my job at CDE is calling, when I called each of you and when I've called other recipients in past years, to just bring some good news, especially this year, just to bring some joy, to bring some affirmation. And each one of you, I could feel your hearts beating. I could hear the smile in your voice. You know how you can hear you can hear the joy in someone's voice. And I could see, I could just imagine your smiles. And each one of you said something like, oh, you've made my year, or this is such good news. It's been a hard year. And well, it's not just me, and it's not just the system of support for expanded learning, but it's our expanded learning ecosystem of over 30,000 staff. I mean, you're 6 out of over 30,000 staff that are receiving this award today. And it's being given to you with incredible sincerity and with incredible appreciation for the inspiration that you are and for all that you mean to so many children. And you've left a trail of hope behind you that is widening and growing, and there's more to come. So Heather and I are so thrilled to have you on here and on our first live Fireside chat. You've heard me say on the Fireside chats, listen, people, if we don't do all we can for every child that deserves our best, we're causing harm. And I am so happy to say that I know that each of you have given your all, and you've given your all to every child that you could, and inspired your staff and people you work with to do the same. So with that, that's my personal, I couldn't read something. We had all these people that nominated you reading things about you, but I just wanted to take that moment to just share how much it meant for me to be able to finally get you on the phone and let you know of this award and to honor you today. So with that, I'm going to turn it back to Heather to kick us off for a discussion.
Thanks, Michael. Yeah, and everything Michael said, we're so excited to have you all here with us today, and excited that the field gets to know you all a little bit better today, and why you are these amazing leaders that we're recognizing. So the bios had a lot of great information about you, but we want to learn just a little bit more. So we'll kind of give everyone an opportunity just to say a little bit about yourself that maybe wasn't captured in the bio, a little bit about the programs that you are currently working, the students that you currently serve, and a little bit about why you love expanded learning, why you're in this field, how you got involved. So why don't we kick off with the birthday girl? So Atrilla, if you want to get us started, and then when you're done, if you want to pass it off to one of the other recipients.
We'll do a little popcorn. Let's see, I'm Atrilla Gillis. I live in Long Beach, California. I am a part of ISANA Academies, which is a network of charter schools in the Los Angeles area. We operate 6 schools on 12 campuses. Total school enrollment is 3,000 within our expanded learning program. We average 900 to 1,000 students on any given day. I have been with ISANA for 14 years in various capacities. And so I feel like that sort of has helped me to create the expanded learning program that we have, because I can approach it from so many different lenses, from being a teacher, a principal, a curriculum specialist. ISANA is an amazing network of schools. The students that we serve, they need us and we love them, and we're happy to provide the services that we provide. We have an amazing team of educators that collaborate to make them successful. I'm happy to share more in just a little bit. I'm going to popcorn to Shannon.
Good morning, everybody. I am filled with so much joy. I'm Shannon Roth. I represent Region 3 in Sacramento with the Sacramento Chinese Community Service Center. I am the Youth Development Director, and we are the largest partner in expanded learning in Region 3. We're serving in over 70 schools across 5 school districts and approximately 8,500 students every day. I am so grateful. I wanted to take a moment to extend my gratitude for the mentorship that I received from our executive director and my dear friend, Henry. Thank you. And I will go to Crystal.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Crystal Miller. I'm from Porterville, California. Don't know. It's a very small town, so I'm pretty sure people don't know where we're from. I am the director for the YES program. YES stands for Youth Experiencing Success. I oversee 14 campuses, 10 elementary and 4 middle schools. And we've expanded the program so large, we have open enrollment. So I'm sure as the fellow directors with me, you can imagine what that can look like and the challenges that we can face. And working in a small community, we're about 50,000 people. Finding quality staff and finding, the means to run programs is very hard, but it is my honor we serve about over 3,000 students in our community. So the expansion has been successful. So that's just a little bit about where I'm from. And I will popcorn over to Erin.
I am from Elk Grove Unified School District in south of Sacramento. And I have been with the district this is my 23rd year, but I've only been in after school and expanded learning for about 6. And I think Heather asked, how we got here, what our journey was. And so I was actually invited to apply for this position. I was working in special ed at the time. And I really didn't know that much about it. And I kind of fell into it. And so then I'm just going to own what Michael said. I said, I don't believe I said it, but cool, let's do this. That's just going to be my theme from now on. Cool, let's do this. And then once I got into it, I've really found that there's amazing people in expanded learning. There's amazing work that happens. My heart's an intervention, and the intervention that we can provide for the students who need it is inspiring, and it gets me up in the morning every morning. And so I'm really glad that I landed where I did. And I will pass it over to Oscar.
Hello, everyone. My name is Oscar Munguia. I'm the program director for Give Every Child a Chance. We currently service students throughout South San Joaquin County. So between 5 cities and 2 school districts. On average, within all of our programs, we service about 3,000, 3,500 students a year. I kind of want to piggyback on what Ms. Erin said, just because I always, when I do my hiring or when I talk to my staff about why we do what we do, kind of like the why, I totally got into this by accident, and I'm blessed that it happened that way. But my girlfriend, like my bio said, my girlfriend at the time, which is my wife now, got me into this because I had gone back from overseas. Prior to going overseas, I was a cook in a restaurant, never really enjoyed my work. And she's like, we're hiring tutors. I'm like, I can tutor kids. Fell in love with the job right away. Then I got involved with after school programs, and I got more involved with doing stuff with the community and whatnot. And at the time, I was actually going to school to be a police officer. I I was a military policeman in the Army, and my goal in life was to be a cop. And one of the things I always told myself when I was overseas is when I came back, I wanted to do something that made me happy, something that made a difference. And this filled that void right away. And just working with my community on a daily basis, working with amazing young staff, it fills my heart every single day. So that's why I do what I do, and I'm going to continue doing this until I can. So yeah, that's it.
Great story.
Oh, sorry, I'll do popcorn to Miss Brazil. I'm sorry.
Yep.
It's okay. I know how to follow rules now from after, expanded learning teaches you that. So I'm Brazil McIntyre. I am the program specialist for Berkeley Learns at Sylvia Mendez Elementary School in Berkeley. I am born and raised in the Bay Area, so I'm all about, my community, and I really have been, I guess, I sort of stumbled into expanded learning as well. After I had my son, I was kind of just in a transition. And so someone was like, you'd be great, working after school. And I was like, I don't know. And so I tried it, and then, here we are all these years later, and it really has just become something that is so very, it's just full of opportunities. And like, I just find the time and the relationships that I'm able to build with my families and the students, it just allows so many more things to flourish. And so I'm really proud of the family, engagement type things that I've been able to accomplish, just because I feel like it's bridged many gaps, especially like with just equity and advocacy issues, things like that. It really has helped in making differences for people. So again, I'm really just excited with expanding learning still. It's always just a great opportunity to just be so creative. And so I guess that's the part I really, really love about it. And so that's what's kind of still has me, in the game. So, yeah.
Brazil, thank you. And I'm going to launch off this notion of creativity. I'd like for each of you to take a moment and just take yourself March 13th through today. I don't know about you, but it seems like before March 13th was like years ago. And yet June and July seemed like it was a few weeks ago. So this notion of time is distorted for all of us. But if you were to tell one story about something that stands out to you that was truly transformative, something you saw in a child or a family, or the way a staff person stepped up, something you experienced, what was something that you personally would like to share that was transformative in the last 7 months? In this, one thing I do know is expanded learning didn't sit back and wait to see what might happen. You stepped in, and the passion about knowing your students and your family, knowing your staff, knowing what they were feeling, understanding the fear, understanding the uncertainty, understanding that love needs to take action in justice, right? What stands out to you? I'm not gonna call on somebody. I'm just gonna let you, whoever wants to step up and then lead us, and then we'll just have a discussion. Step in.
I'll share. So at ISANA, we launched EXL Live, which is literally our same exact program that we operate on campus. We launched it online using Zoom every day from 2 to 5, but it took us a few weeks to get there. And so there was a lull in us seeing our students. And when we finally launched it, the excitement on their faces, and even the parents who would hear the voice of a program leader that was facilitating the session, and they would run over and they would jump in the screen and say, "Hey, how are you? Is everybody okay?" And just watching the kids interact with each other, like not being able to go right into a lesson because we needed to give them an opportunity to socialize with each other and to maintain that connection that they would normally have on campus, has just been amazing. And even yesterday, I was on a Zoom in a session, and there were a couple of students who hadn't joined us before that were joining us for the first time. And just watching them see each other and get so excited and see me. There's a student who for some reason gets really nervous around me. So she was excited to see me at first. She took herself off mute and she said, "Hey, Miss Gillis, it's me." And I was like, "Hi, I'm so happy to see you." And then she turned her camera off and she would not talk to me for the rest of the session. But it's just exciting to me to see their reactions to each other and to the staff.
Thank you.
I'll jump in. We got to partner with the city of Sacramento this summer to do a youth mentoring program, and it was done virtually, but the culminating event was in person. And so we had 4 weeks of high school students from Valley High School who prepared. We were looking at mental health, issues around mental health and the needs that our students were experiencing. And we also looked at civic engagement, and there was so much happening in the community with equity and racial justice. And we felt that our students needed an outlet and a conversation to have about that. And so the high school students prepared for 2 weeks, and then they had the opportunity to mentor online some students who were matriculating up from elementary school, and they were going to be starting middle school. So it was the summer between their elementary and middle school experience. And then they were able to join. And during that time, we also did some parent workshops. And so we had family engagement as well. And so these students went through this 4-week, very, kind of soul-bearing process where they really got to work collaboratively, and they got to explore some issues. And their ultimate goal was to create a PSA for their, like a social media campaign for something that they felt like was an issue in their community that they wanted to be heard on. And so at the conclusion of this 4-week process, the students got to come to Jackman Middle School and collect an activity bag and there was some swag that went along with it. And for a lot of them, they'd been seeing each other on screen for 4 weeks, but they hadn't gotten to meet in person. And for some of them, they didn't know each other previously because they were just going into the same school. And the families were doing a drive-through. We're all masked up, we're keeping distance, but we had families gearing up and saying what a difference it made for their child. And we had kids who were just so enthusiastic that they were jumping out of the car and trying to run over and hug the program administrators, and we're having to remind them about social justice, and at the same time so honored that we got to be a part of the process and that we were able to bring that to them. And I think that's kind of the meaning of our work, and that's sort of the meaning of our role in this pandemic and what's happening for kids and putting them at the center.
I can go next. One of the things we were actually able to do, thanks to my supervisor, is we partnered with our local food bank to provide drive-through events for our families. So prior to the closure with COVID, our after-school programs would receive, our students would receive what we called food for thought through the food bank. So twice a month, they would get a bag of groceries and be able to take it home. And for some of our families, this was their groceries for the week. So we knew that was going to be a necessity. So when we sat down, we kind of thought, how can we still service the community? My boss was like, let's try to get more food out there. So thankfully, with our partnership with the food bank, we were able to create a good partnership that allows us to still hand out about 200 bags every other week. And we're continuing to do it to this day, which has been great. And how we were able to involve our programming staff, which is pretty cool, is we would purchase little things to make kits for our bags. And then our staff would we would upload the videos onto YouTube, put the link in the bag, and the kids can go online. All of our kids are on YouTube. And they would be able to, go along with the staff member that they're used to seeing on a day-to-day basis. Students loved it. Our staff loved doing them more so than others. But we could see that it was actually making a difference. And one more thing that kind of made me really happy was when we were able to come back to school in August to help with the cohorts for our district. I had a staff member physically call me that day. She was in tears just because she's like, I never realized how much I miss these kids. And it just kind of stuck with me. The whole idea is like, we think about the kids, but our staff, they miss the students just as much. They miss the work. And it made me happy. It made me happy that she was happy to be there, even knowing the threat with COVID and whatnot. It was just really nice to hear.
And Oscar, I think that's a really great point about the staff. And I think it's maybe a good transition question, something the group can chat about is, you all focus a lot on what we can do for our students, our families, our communities, but we also know our staff are struggling. So wondering if anybody wants to talk a little bit about how your staff have been doing during this time, what you've been doing to support them. And Shannon, I'm sorry, I think it looked like you were about to say something. And so feel free to answer the last question and or transition into this next question.
Thank you. You know what, I was just reflecting on what has happened during the last 7 months and my pride in the resilience and innovation that has come from our team and what they have showcased in the last 7 months. To receive a text message and an email that says we're closing campus now and you will not be returning on Monday. And I don't think we realized that would be months and months and months before we were back. But to see them come up with activities, they launched a YouTube channel connecting with kids in all different ways through social media. It has been an amazing and proud journey. We're tired, and I think the whole industry, everybody's really tired, but we keep moving forward and we keep bringing the best that we can to every child. And I think that's just kind of the energy that has been contagious in our organization. We were really excited to return in person with a few of our partnering school districts and offer day camps, and to see the gratitude from families who were really struggling with needing resources and safe places for their children to be. Some of the most underserved and vulnerable families in our community now have safe spaces to be because we're willing to be there, we're willing to show up. And I will tell you, it was fantastic. I was in a classroom for a couple of weeks while we were solidifying staffing, and to see people just excited to see other people and be around them. I think some of the challenges have created big opportunities for us. We have become so empathetic to each other and really created opportunities to socialize and listen to each other and remind each other about self-care and the mental health services that are just as important as physical health services. So those are the big things that I've seen happen during the last 7 months. But mostly, I have just seen a resilient group of people, an army of people, step up for the community that they love.
I'd like to chime in on that also, Shannon. I completely agree. And I also realized, I think for me, this moment of time that we're currently still in has really just sparked a lot of optimism for me. And so I'm really just trying to keep that rolling and really use it as an opportunity to kind of spread that message. And we all have so many complaints about this and that and misunderstandings and frustrations with dealing with all of this, on top of those of us that are parents and having our own children and families and situations to, kind of work with as well. That to me, again, just as you put it, Shannon, there are so many different opportunities that, or challenges that can turn into opportunities. And so I feel like having that, where I'm not quite sure where it came from, I'm fortunate that I'm feeling this way. But again, you know, with that in mind, I think we've really just had to take this time. I know with my staff, I've really tried to take the time to get them where we all need to be, you know, because in some ways it's, this pandemic situation has been an equalizer of sense, you know, in a sort, in a lot of ways, but it also has kind of accentuated some of these gaps and these issues that, you know, have always been an issue, and now they're just sort of highlighted even greater. And so I just feel like, again, there's so many opportunities and ways for expanded learning to kind of really push in and support all of that. And we are so fortunate to, again, going back to the relationships, you know, have these relationships that allow us to participate in people's, you know, lives and help them problem solve things in a way that is slightly different than the bureaucracy of, you know, the school district even, you know. So it's just really a fortunate place. So again, to the creativity and the optimism, I really think that it's just important to keep that in your forefront, because, you know, the challenges are there. We can all, I'm sure all 8 of these, you know, squares can fill them up with challenges. But again, you know, I think that that's important. It's an important place to kind of come back to.
Crystal, what's on your heart?
I'm going to have a real conversation. I think since COVID has hit, I don't know if like you guys, it has scared our community. And I would say I've lost like 50% of my staff. I don't know if you guys have experienced. So going to the staffing question, I know people are scared to apply for jobs in expanded learning. And I know that we're starting to apply for waivers to bring our students back. And that's scary to the staff because they don't know, you know, can we be around the kids? How do we engage the kids? How do we provide these components? And so I know that I would love to say that they're all on board and they're ready and they're happy, and some of them are, and that's exciting. And we, you know, I know Porterville Unified, just speaking on behalf of my district, it's we just got we're waiting for waiver approval for next week to bring back K through 6 at just a few of our campuses, and my staff have completely shut down. Like, okay, what do we do? So I know those are some challenges that we face, but that's just a real conversation coming from me to you guys. They're excited, but scared, you know, so I know I have to do my research and make sure that I motivate and I train and I take the time to get ready to transition everybody. We're so used to and comfortable teaching from an online, a virtual platform, and transitioning this team and transitioning, I would say about 70 new employees into the field is going to be very, very interesting. So that's just heavy on my heart because I'm thinking, how do I do that? How are we going to do this? But
yeah, it's so important to keep it real and to be honest, you know, yes. even on this platform where there's this YouTube live thing and we all want to sound good and optimistic and but it's really important to keep it real because I know that fear is palpable throughout all the system. And so it's so important to keep it real, Crystal. So I
don't want to bring down the group, but I'm just thinking, I wish I could say we're happy and we're ready. No, that's not the reality.
The Fireside Lives are meant to be real and meant to be honest and authentic. And I was watching the body language in the squares when you were sharing your heart with some vulnerability. And I think some people might want to jump in because they have some thoughts.
I think for us at ESANA, because expanded learning has a seat at the table and we're a part of the decisions as they're happening and they take us into consideration, think that my staff might have some reservations, but I think that they feel comfortable because they've watched our emergency response team formulate a plan, and they're starting to see the precautions that are put in place. If anyone's been on campus, they can see that the shields are up. They see, the signs posted all over. And so I think that because they have that constant knowledge, and as things are put in place, that's shared with them, I feel like they have a bit more confidence. And so I think that that's one of the things that's unique about expanded learning at ESANA, is that we do have a seat at the table. And so as decisions are being made, I'm able to say, hey, wait a minute, what about us? How does that impact us? And we're at a place now where it happens automatically, where it's like, okay, we're doing this, now let's pull in expanded learning, let's pull in the arts, let's pull in all the other groups to see how it impacts them too. And so I would say that my staff has so much confidence in it that when we filled in the gap for LPAC testing, they were actually willing to go on campus and to provide testing supports for students who weren't able to do it virtually. And so I think that maybe just the constant reassurance for your staff and letting them know what measures are being put in place to protect them would help with that transition.
Yeah, I can add to that too. It just, what the reassurance is really important, and the idea of reminding them that, hey, it is scary, and the idea of, at least if you want to give it a try, give it a try. Like I told my staff going into this, if you don't feel comfortable after a couple of days, by all means, come let me know. We could figure something out. And just giving them options in a sense, the idea of reminding them these are all the safety precautions we're putting in place to protect you, not just the kids, but you as an individual, I think was really important too for a lot of my staff. Just kind of reminding them that, hey, at the end of the day, we're here to support you as well. It's not just the kids. So, but we're still learning. Like I'm trying to create a whole new training plan for how I'm training my staff now, because we all know this, how programs going to look now compared to what it looked like in March, night and day. Kids have their own supplies now. We can't do like team activities anymore. Like, what can we do to still make sure we're quality? And that's what I tell my staff. I'm like, I don't want the idea of quality leaving your head. Quality is the most important thing. So what within our means can we do for our kids to provide them with that quality program? So it's just like I tell my staff, just be patient, and at the end of the day, I wouldn't make them do anything I wouldn't be willing to do myself. So it's just about being patient and flexible. And I always tell that the people coming in for interviews, I say, if you're not willing to be patient and flexible, then after school is not for you at all. We could end this interview right now. So again, it's just about being honest with them from the jump. So, yeah.
I sent an email a couple weeks back to our team talking about be careful what you wish for, because I feel like my entire time in expanded learning, I've been wishing for smaller student to adult ratios, or for every child to have access to a computer, or to have enough funding so that everybody can have all of their own art supplies. And we have gotten what we wished for, and I kind of hate it. So so there's opportunities to innovate, and there's opportunities to look in the past and think, this is exactly what I wanted to have happen, but not at the expense of being able to come together in community and in school sites and build relationships and friendships with our little people. So.
So when I think of these themes of, which staff, who are the humans that show up and support the children, is not just a safety issue, it's a social justice issue, right? Because I'm just going to say it, too often the system wants to send in the minimum wage, Black and brown staff with the least access to the best healthcare. And that's my observation. I think I'm not trying to ascribe any intent or something behind that, but Brazil, you sent us a note a couple days ago saying that one thing you wanted to share was some of your thoughts about social justice and equity. And I just want to toss it to you just to say whatever you wanted to share about that.
Well, I don't really have anything prepared. I kind of, it's more of a lifestyle, I believe. But it is, well, equity and advocacy, I guess I've been working with the California AfterSchool Network and have been fortunate enough to just be able to collaborate and to learn from so many, more people than I normally would have access to. And even in that, there's an equity thing, even in that piece. But I believe, what it has shown me is it just intensifies the idea that people need advocates. Our students need advocates, our families need advocates, our staff needs advocates, site coordinators need advocates, expanded learning needs advocates. It's like it just doesn't stop. And so it's really a bigger thing than, just facts or, short Twitter post of how important after school is. It's like we really have an impact, and the equity piece in that is that, fortunately in expanded learning, we have a lot more flexibility, I'll say, than the day in some cases. And then I think in that we are just so in a perfect position to really bridge that gap and make those things that are inequitable equitable. And I feel, down to, lunch applications, it's like the day school needs all of this because they're getting, paid for these things, and that's their goal. But my goal is like, I'm sitting in the cafeteria at lunchtime seeing kids that like aren't eating, and so there's a disconnect, and there's like, and so again, I guess back to the lunch forms as an example is like in my program, we will set up computers after school and we're like, stop, do this, we can help you through it. Do you have an email? Let's help you create an email. Like there's so many things that really prevent people from being really engaged and able to participate. And so, again, I just feel like expanded learning is such a wonderful spot for those things to happen, because again, they grow these relationships. I just got a call the other day from a student that I had, years ago, and they're like asking me for a reference for something, and it's like, I'm just thankful that we're able to like have these opportunities and these things that people know that we care, and that they know that that's what we're trying to do. And so again, the advocacy comes into that, just as far as there needs to be people that stand up for this and stand out and speak up, and that when you're able to do it, you do it. Because again, in expanded learning, you have a lot of flexibility. So do it. Use it to your advantage and make those changes, because they make differences in people's lives. Like just when you talk about real talk, it's like that's real talk. So that's how I kind of feel about it. Again, like I said, it's more of a lifestyle than an opportunity, and it's not like something to showcase. It's something that is just the right thing to do. I feel.
Yeah, the right thing to do. I'd love your example of set up the computer, engage with people, the families as they're leaving, and then help them if there's barriers to accessing a resource, actually being in relationship with them, working with them. I remember in the couple of decades in San Francisco, it would be a daily experience that a caregiver, parent, grandparent would come to pick up a child, sign them out from out of school. And because they had limited or no English and were immigrants and trying to navigate so many things, you'd see them pull a letter from their pocket and pull one of our staff aside and say, in their native language, speaking with our staff member that also could speak the native language. I don't understand what this is. And it probably many times had nothing to do with education. It was some letter from some entity that they didn't understand. But right now, the educational system is losing track of children just because of COVID. And it's our staff that have these relationships and these connections and are known in the community. I love, Brazil, your passion around do something. You know, you got the flexibility. I'd like to hear from others along this line.
I think, and I keep talking, but I think that along that line, how she talks about the expanded learning staff really being a resource for parents. And so we have within our network of schools, SFCs that work closely with parents. And so they stand in the gap with those resources, but they do a really good job of front loading for our parents. So if something is going home that they think parents don't understand, or if an application is due, they pull our staff and they'll say, hey, you might have parents coming in this afternoon that they might need help with this. In the past, we found ourselves in situations where we're like, what is this? Okay, well, we'll tell someone to call you in the morning or go check in the office and see if someone's there. But over the last couple of years, because there's that collaboration, we're really in a position where we can say, oh yeah, we know all about this. So you need to do this. This is when it's due. Like, we can speak to it. And I feel like that collaboration between day school, between, you know, the offices is so powerful, because then it makes us all one big school community. We're not compartmentalized. We're, oh, that's their thing. We're not sure. And even with us, when we have, you know, initiatives or we have events that are coming up, we make sure that we share that information with everyone else so that anybody on campus is able to speak to it, so that it's generally a network of support and you can reach out to anyone and anyone can help you problem solve and find a solution to whatever your issue may be. And then I thought too, when she talked about just equity and diversity, we have within our sessions taken, there's so much going on, so much in the media that our students are being exposed to, right? Racial issues, political issues. And so we've created a safe place for them, sort of a sounding board. And we do it under the guise of literacy. So we find books and we find current event articles to open those conversations for our students, because a lot of times they don't have people to talk to, and they see these one-sided views or this rhetoric on social media or maybe on TV or even from their peers that they don't really understand. And so especially my middle school program leaders have been doing an amazing job of just facilitating those social justice conversations. And as an organization, this year, our goal is social justice. We have social justice objectives that we're hitting as we go through the school year. And so we're aligning our curriculum and our expanded learning program to those social justice goals. But I feel like part of breaching or, you know, bridging that divide between the equity with the parents starts with the kids too. Teach them how to advocate for themselves, because a lot of times their parents don't know, they don't speak English, they're new to things. And so a big part of like social enrichment for us is teaching you how to survive in social situations. How do you fill out an application? How do you code switch so that, yeah, you have your slang or you have your native language that you speak at home, but in an academic setting, what does that look like? And so we found that bridging that divide with our students works wonders, because then they take that knowledge home and it becomes home-based knowledge as well.
Crystal, I'm wondering if you could share something about, you know, we're talking about programs that are in large cities and but, you know, I grew up in a town with a population of 1,100. And I know that life is pretty different in the rural setting. What are you seeing in terms of family needs and what the community needs are in your community in Porterville?
Well, we've seen a lot of different things come out to us. Of course, everybody's struggling. Porterville, the community where I'm from, it's I'm guessing, but it's 80% Spanish speaking. So when you talk about technology and you talk about launching virtual, I mean, we have communities and parents we can't even reach to this day because they're out in the fields. So we can't provide a lot of resources that a lot of other communities can, because we can't track down the parents. We can't communicate with the parents. Internet in a small town, it's a lot harder than you guys think. Just getting, those spaces for those kids. So we had to kind of switch things up when we started cohorts, and we started actually bringing these kids back onto campus in small group settings to provide internet, to provide, that technology to get those kids out from their house. And we've noticed a lot of kids are being left home alone. I think we can all relate. Our CWS cases are already high as it is in expanded learning. We notice a lot of things. Imagine what we're seeing now. It's pretty scary out there. So, and what we don't know is even scarier. So we're just trying to do as much outreach as we can. Our district, we started going door to door to check on these homes. We have a lot of absences. Our kids are not participating. They're not present. We don't know what's happening. I don't know if you guys are running into the same issues, but that's small. Oscar, I think you're from a small community as well. Those are some of what we're facing. So we're trying to provide that for our families, but I think our families are frustrated. I think that they're going to do what they got to do to provide for their family. And that's working. That's bringing home an income to them. And they're going to be left home alone. And we're talking second and first graders being left home alone. So Michael, that's kind of what we're running into in our community. I feel like I'm the Debbie Downer of the group. I'm so sorry. I have positive things to say. I really do. But that's the reality of our town, our community. And I'm sure a lot of people watching could maybe relate to us as well.
That's so important. Crystal, that's why I asked you the question, because sometimes the small towns in California are the ones that are forgotten.
Yeah.
And I've had the opportunity to travel to remote small districts, small towns, and it's a very complex state with lots of different needs. And it was important that I think people here understand just a bit of what you just shared. And CWS was your acronym, but the Child Welfare System. So these, what do we do when parents have to work and school's not open? This is one of the, so expanded learning programs opening and providing something in person is so much more than just an educational minutes issue. I'm just going to say it. My observation is that I haven't heard a human speak about the needs of our children without saying something about the social, emotional support, the love that our families and kids need, the kind of support that they need, the trauma they're experiencing, the fear, the confusion. Yet I still see the system talking more about time and instructional minutes and how much time our kids need to be on the screen, or how much time someone's going to work. And my concern is, and I shared this a little bit at the symposium, we can't meet human need with an institutional response. We got to meet human need with a human response. And Crystal, if we're not going to keep it real, I certainly didn't take that as a Debbie Downer, right? That's what our children need, and we can't pretend it's not happening. Oscar, I'm going to toss it to you from a also small town perspective.
Yeah, same issues as Miss Crystal, and like Michael said, Crystal, don't feel like a Debbie Downer. We're all going through it. People need to hear this because a lot of small towns are going through the same thing. I've heard it from parents. My mom teaches in my district. At her school, there's a lot of migrant ed population, so I hear it all the time. My kid wasn't online because he had to watch his little sibling or whatever, and then that's the reality of what we're going through. So like I tell my staff, what we need to really work on right now, and even our office staff, is just what can we do to provide resources for these families? I'm gonna just try to talk to them about resources. Then at the end of the day, it's going to be up to them, whether or not they want to take these ideas or these resources, to kind of make things happen for themselves. And like I tell my staff, that's all we can do at this point in time, and just working with people. Like we're working with our district right now for our cohorts. A lot of our students that are there are homeless and foster kids, the ones that really need it. So we really sat down, we focused like who needs this the most? Like you said, like you mentioned, who needed internet? Same concept for us. Who needed internet? Who's not logging on? So it's taking a village, to help all these kids. So you got to get everybody involved. It can't just be you guys as a whole. It has to be the district level, it has to be the school level, it has to be the parents, it has to be everybody. And that's the reality situation. It can't just be one group of people. It can't just be us. It has to be a lot of people.
Well, I think we're getting about to that time. We could talk with you all day. You all are a really amazing group, but I know lunchtime is calling. Atrilla's got birthday plans coming up soon. So we do want to be mindful of all of your time, so I'm going to ask you all to close out with some comments in a moment. But before that, I do want to mention that every now and then I look over here at the chat box that is still very, very active. And while each of you are sharing, there is so much love for each of you, for your honesty, for what you are doing in your programs, for your leadership. So much appreciation and love for each and every one of you for your work. So I just wanted to say that. I know you can't see it, but it's there, and there's a lot of awesome things being said about all of you. And so as we close out, just wanted to give you an opportunity for kind of a few last words and maybe sharing a leadership lesson that you've learned during this time. So I think, over this program, this time that we spent with you, it has become evident to many why you are being recognized for these leadership awards this year. And so would love to hear from you something that you would like to share with others that you've learned during these last 6-7 months. So if anybody wants to kick us at Crystal, kick us off.
I don't know about you guys, but I want to say, I don't know about you, but man, expanded learning, everybody's relying on expanded learning, at least where I'm from. I've been reached out to provide staffing for bus monitors as we're getting these cohorts, just for staff to help monitor these kids. I've been reached out to by our local hospital. They know that we focus on character counts. So they're asking us to do thank you letters to boost the morale at the hospital, because our essential workers are just feeling just really down as we're losing, people due to COVID, and the patients. We've wrote to the medical staff and to the patients, get well. I've been reached out for supports in special ed supports. I mean, I can imagine you guys have as well. And I just keep thinking that all of a sudden, you guys know how important expanded learning is, huh? We have a lot of supports to give. So I think it's been exciting because Altraya, going back to you, that helps build the bond that we have been seeking to build for so long. And I'm fortunate in my district, I do have that bond. But if anything, it has strengthened it, because when they're having district conversations, they're like, hey, after school staff, man, they have like 220 staff on their team. Do you think that they can help us transition these kids? Do you think they can help us walk, because we got to keep these small cohorts? And all of a sudden we're high in demand. A little too high in demand sometimes, but I don't know if you guys are experiencing that as well. But I just want to say that's something that I've learned, and something as a leader that I think I've learned is we have this saying in my program, and I teach all the supervisors, the site coordinators, is check your face. So as we're getting ready to launch program, we have a plan, and then we get told by the state, hey, this is a no-go. I don't know about you guys, but my face always gives me up, and I'm like, are you serious? So we have this saying in leadership: check your face, keep a smile, be positive for your staff, for your kids. It starts with us as leaders. So that's a lesson I've learned, is I always have to say, check your face. And I had to check my face when Michael called me too, because I was like, okay, first of all, the lack of leadership happening in this community, Anyway, so if I could share anything that I've learned, it's check your face.
I'll jump in. I kind of want to piggyback on some of what Crystal just shared, and the networking that's happening with expanded learning right now. And I heard Sarah Neville Morgan say it, and I just heard Oscar bring it up again, that it takes a village. And so we are seeing now expanded learning has a seat at the table. And I am fortunate enough to be in an organization where my superintendent, Chris Hoffman, and my deputy superintendent, Mark Cerruti, are they're very inclusive, and our leadership meetings involve all the departments. So I get to, the work that I do in expanded learning, it touches elementary and secondary education. It touches special education and foster youth and family and community engagement. And there's so many things in education that can be siloed. There's so many, it's a lot easier for us sometimes to just keep our head down and do our work and stay in our own bubbles and not necessarily make the time to network and to have those conversations and say, how could we be better together? How can we do more by understanding each other's work and collaborating with each other, trusting our principals to know their school community, trusting our principals to help us find staff to, reach out to your community. What good parent volunteers do you have? Which parents do you see on campus who might be interested in working with us? And then use that opportunity to create a pipeline and have people who join us in after school who are part of our communities, who know our families and know the community needs, that then become part of our school and maybe end up teaching in our school and maybe end up running that school. And, I think that there's some power in what we're doing. And I've also heard, we have day camps going right now, and we get to be the dress rehearsal for the district. And we have a small group of students who are on campus who need us and we're able to support. But we're learning things from that too. And as long as I'm given the opportunity, which I'm fortunate to say I have been, where I can share what I'm learning, then it's going to be better for all of our district when we come back. Because like I just had the opportunity the other day, well, what happens if the fire alarm gets pulled and we're trying to keep 6 feet of distance? That's okay when you only have 40 kids on campus. It gets a lot harder when you have 500 kids on campus and we're trying to do a fire drill and we're used to standing out in the field and, having the entire student body on the field, it's very difficult to social distance. So that's something that we get to problem solve now because I stumbled on that. And like I said, with 40 kids, we could keep them safe. And now we'll be prepared when there's 500 kids on campus. We'll have a plan for that and we'll be able to practice that with the students. So there's a lot of lessons to be learned. There's a lot of partnerships to be gained. There's a lot of great work to be done and collaboration to be done. And I think that our students are the beneficiaries of that. And so I'm glad to be part of an organization that's able to create that.
I want to piggyback on that just in a sense to where for those of us that are kind of hesitant about, how can I put this? Aaron talked about, keeping our head down. We're just doing the work. And that's what we've been doing. And I've been through that point in my time, but I've been able to build this relationship. You have a lot of people that don't feel confident, don't feel comfortable doing it. This is your time. Do it. We are important right now. What COVID has shown me is expanded learning is so important to everybody, not just to your school, but to the community as a whole. So if you're kind of hesitant about it, don't be. Just, what you do. You guys know you're doing amazing things. Just do it. Show your district, like, hey, district, I'm doing X, Y, and Z. I want a seat at the table. Don't be afraid to say, I want to sit there, Like the idea of being a guinea pig. Aaron said it perfectly. Like, that's why I looked at it. And I didn't have a problem doing that because I came at it at a different perspective. I said, my wife teaches in my school district that we provide services for. My son attends. If my program can go in there and I could talk to people that are in charge, that are important, I know my family's going to go back to a safe environment. And not just my family. I look at my community as a whole as my family. So whatever we can do to make that happen, I'm all about it. But for those of us that are a little hesitant in doing so, do it. Just don't be afraid to say, hey, we're important. We're doing X, Y, and Z for you guys. One thing I've learned about myself as a leader during all this is I've learned to delegate a little bit more. And I've learned that I'm the type of person that takes everybody's problems or situations on or whatever. And I kind of learned that it's okay to not be okay. I guess it's the best way to say it, right? It's okay to not be okay. But just knowing, that you have people around you, like we talk about, our network now, my network builds me up. Like whether it's my boss, whether it's my employees, whether it's my regional lead, I could always send Danielle a quick text. She'll text me back, bring me back up. those are the people that are around us that could bring us up. So that's one thing I've learned is that, it's okay to not be okay.
I think the most valuable lesson has been move forward in love with your whole heart as we serve the communities, as we serve our colleagues. Just have your heart open to love those people unconditionally, and the rewards that you receive back for yourself are immeasurable.
I was just going to add also, just in that idea of having a seat at the table, that never forget, like, expanded learning has a lot of institutional knowledge on these families. And that is the leverage in a lot of these discussions, or, it certainly should be, that we a lot of times know these families for however, long they're at this school. So if it's 10 years, I have a mother that has been to the school like 15 years every day because her kids are stair-stepped and they're like, she's always there, and so we have a lot of institutional knowledge to share and to help with a lot of these. We just bring a lot to the table in the sense of having these relationships. It really is astounding how close we become with these, different families and different situations and things. And again, it really does speak to how valuable our voice should be, and then I guess as far as a leadership lesson that I learned, I feel like in this, I really have learned that you have to listen. We are, acknowledging that we are all going through something that I don't know anyone that I know that has experienced this before. So we're all in the same boat. And we really do need to acknowledge all of our concerns, and we need to have a place to, to dump some of that. So I think, providing that kind of a space encourages that kind of optimism that I was speaking about earlier. It will sort of begin to change how people look at things, and when you're able to collaborate. And I just feel like that is such an important thing, again, in the leadership that I've experienced and learned from, that it's priceless. And to think that you're doing something all by yourself or that you're all alone, it's really not self-care. So it would be a lot of, considered self-care to collaborate in a lot of it, things. Because again, Crystal, if you're in this rural area, then you're not the only rural area that is having those same challenges, and so there's really no reason why, especially in this virtual space, there is literally no reason why, besides technology or some kind of access barriers that of course are still an issue. But so there's ways that we can collaborate that then make our teams stronger and allow us to be better leaders in the process. So thank you.
Cool. So hearing you all talk about a seat at the table, I want to start with a shout out to my CEO, Nadia Shaikh, and my COO, John Vargas, because they make sure that we have a seat at the table and expanded learning is included in everything. And also, like, a shout out to my principals for their amazing support, because I come with some pretty outlandish ideas like, hey, we're doing this. And they sort of look at me, but they always allow me to give it a try. And so I appreciate them for that. A leadership lesson that I've learned since March is to loosen the reins. I can be a bit of a control freak, and from the district office, I'm like, it has to be like this, and this, down to lesson plan, even lesson plan for each grade level each week. But being in this situation is hard to do. And so I literally had to loosen the reins and allow my staff to just reach their full potential. And when I tell you that they showed up and they showed out, and they are absolutely amazing, and just the ideas that they come with and their implementation and the excitement that they bring, like, I could not ask for a better team. And so the confidence that I have in them and the pride that I have in what they offer to our communities and to our students is something that will carry over when we're back on campus and when we get back to our new normal. Like, I'm excited about what the future holds for expanded learning at ISANA, because they truly are educators. They're not considered expanded learning. They are ISANA educators, and I'm excited to see where we go from here.
Wow. I just almost don't know what to say right now. Thank you all so much for sharing this time with us, sharing your knowledge, sharing your hearts, sharing who you are. A lot, it's still going. There's still like almost 200 people watching, and just giving you lots and lots of love and recognition for who each of you are as humans and leaders in this field. So much appreciation to you all. And I think, you know, going back to today is Lights On After School, and today is really meant to lift up what this field is, what it means to our students, to our family, to our staff, to all of us. You know, Brazil, you talked a lot about advocacy, and, you know, today is just one day. It's a day we do it nationally across the state, but hopefully this kicks off us being advocates for our students and our staff and our programs and our communities all year long. And, you know, we do have a lot of great champions. Later this afternoon, CA3 is going to be hosting another Lights On event celebrating the champions in California. So definitely good to show up and appreciate those that do advocate and champion for our programs. And I will just say, on my part, I've been wearing my I voted button today. So voting is an important part of being an advocate. And so voter registration in California is closed, but there is lots of time to vote still. So make sure you exercise that right and make your voices heard, and vote for things that support our children and our communities. And so with that, I will turn it over to Michael for some closing comments.
Well, first of all, thank you, Heather, for hosting, and not only hosting, but doing the magic to make this all work, and wrestling with technology and showing technology a thing or two about who's boss. Just appreciate you so much. Thank you for your leadership and your influence in the field over so many years that continues today. You know, one thing we've all learned is that disruption is an opportunity for innovation. That's something we've known, but now we're actually in the middle of. And I can't tell you how pleased and proud I am to have hosted with Heather this dialogue. When we've hosted the Leadership Awards every year, yeah, we've had marching bands, but we haven't had this kind of an opportunity for the field to hear your leadership and your heart and your experiences, your transparency, your courage, your vulnerability, your lessons learned, your inspiration. Each of you have brought that to the state of California today, and it will remain, because this is recorded, right, Heather? This is going to be up. Yeah. So, you know, 20 years from now, if the internet still is up, you can show your grandkids, look, listen to me, listen to my words, listen to my wisdom. Watch your face, check your face, right? Check your face. So I've been moved, I've been inspired, I've learned things. My wisdom is sharper. My vision is more clear in terms of what we need. We are right now all across the state of California, districts are starting to get very concrete about planning, about what's next, what's the next chapter. And some are looking to start now. Some have started now. Some are looking to start in a few weeks. Some are looking towards January. You've all said so beautifully and eloquently how important it is for us to not only be at the table, to influence what's talked about at the table and influence what decisions are there from our wisdom, from our areas of strength. This very Fireside Live will be an inspiration and a resource for people across the state who are now looking to the future. So I just want to thank each of you for what you've brought today, for what you've brought to humanity through who you are. And let's keep the lights on after school, right? Even if there's no such thing as after school, let's keep the lights on after school. And as you have all demonstrated, let's lead with love, and together we rise. Thanks, everyone.